Attention, please. Here's something I bet you didn't know. Not all supplements are created equal. At HealthSpan, our omega-3 oil is sustainably sourced from the South Pacific Ocean. We find our turmeric in the southern slopes of India. And our cod liver oil comes from the cold, crisp seas off Greenland. We work hard to seek out the best ingredients for our supplements, because that's the HealthSpan way. We're healthspan.co.uk. Vitamins and supplements in-store or direct to your door.
Right now, it's more vital than ever that we keep in touch. So at Labara, we're offering a great value SIM-only deal. 1,000 texts and 1,000 minutes to the UK. 100 extra minutes to 40 other countries, plus 2 gigs of data. All for just £5. No contract. You can change at any time. Not that you'd want to. Labara. Stay connected.
Tier Vinzo. Battleborn.
Hello everybody and welcome back to Ponsford, Sheffield for day 2 of the British Paraswimming International Meet for this year 2021. It's me again, Liz Johnson, and I'm looking forward to another day of racing live here. Hope you are too. Got lots of exciting races to look forward to. After a great first day yesterday, this does double up as an opportunity for the British athletes to post consideration times for Tokyo 2021. And as you can see, we'll be treated to some action in the women's and men's 100 metres backstroke and the women's and men's 50 metre breaststroke. Then we'll have a break and then we'll be back at 11:10 for the women's and men's 100 metres breaststroke races, and then we'll conclude with those 50 metre backstroke events for the women's and men. We take that break so that we can make sure that the warm-ups are not crowded during this time. A lot of effort has been put into ensuring that this event can run smoothly, safely, and one of those things is to limit the number of athletes in the pool at any one time. And so the warm-ups have been split. The officials are on poolside. They don't have their usual march on. They come on as quickly as possible. And like once again, technical delegate will be Tony Ward. The men's referee will be Christine Golightly. The women's referee, Dave Metcalf. And then the starter, new starter today, it's Elizabeth Fitzsimmons. And as you'll hear me mention a lot throughout this meet about the various processes that are in place to ensure that we'll be COVID secure. And one such process is that the starters, we would normally have a different starter for the men's and women's events, but to minimize changeovers and ensure that the microphone doesn't have to be shared and constantly wiped down, we will have Elizabeth Fitzsimmons starting all of the races here this morning. The women's 100 metres backstroke heats will be our first race to look forward to this morning. There will be 2 heats of this, and then the fastest 10 athletes on points will have the opportunity to progress through to tonight's final session. Here come our first swimmers of the morning. It is heat number 1 of this women's multi-class 100 metres backstroke. There will be 3 athletes swimming here, getting us underway this morning. All heats are time banded. And you can see there Tatiana Lebrun of Belgium, an S10 athlete, Julia Godachuk of Israel, an S9 swimmer, and then Great Britain's Brock Whiston is an S8 swimmer. So the classifications are mixed. The times are seeded from slowest to fastest. So in theory, if everybody swims near their entry time, you should see the quicker swimmers at the bottom half of your screen this morning. All 3 swimmers getting away well there. You can see closest to us at the bottom of the screen, Brock Whiston using majority of her right arm as the S8 athlete there. And then in 1 up from her, there's an S9 swimmer. And then Tatiana Lebrun of Belgium swam very well yesterday, had a busy day, 2 heats, 2 finals, quite close together, posted some best times, and she'll be looking to carry on with that form this morning. And it is, at the moment, Lebrun, who doesn't have an entry time for this race, coming in to the turn now to touch first in a time of 38.5, followed by Gordachik, 41.06. And Brock Whiston now just in the final 5 metres of the first 50. Brock turning in 49.49, just out of shot. Tatiana Lebrun got a comfortable 2 body length lead over the S9 athlete, 1 lane closer to us from Israel. And they'll be blowing away the cobwebs this morning. There were 13 athletes entered in this event, so as I said, 10 can progress to the final based on points. So it's not necessarily the person who touches the wall first that will win the heat on that basis, but all athletes here looking to post solid times as they aim to get their respective qualifying times for the Paralympics in the summer. So there we can see Lebrun confirmed 119.68, Gordachik 123.53, and here comes Brock Whiston now into the final 5 metres to conclude this first heat for us. Brock touching in a 147.52. Athletes will leave by the side of the pool. so as not to interrupt any of the time pads. Here are the official results, and it is actually the times match the points. So LeBrun takes it with 564 points, Gordashuk second with 525, and then Brockwiston third with 253 points in that S8 category. Yeah, a great view of this pool here. We can see how things have changed. Those of you watching at home that are used to being in a packed, very hot Ponds Forge, you'll see that there's barely anybody in the stands. Again, we're trying to keep people separate, socially distanced. So all athletes from Great Britain have been sent to the right-hand side of the stands, and all foreign competitors are on the left-hand side. So internationals to the left, domestic competitors on the right. Here we have the starters for Heat 2 of this women's multi-class 100 metres backstroke, a full heat here. Again, mixed classification groups ranging from S9 athletes to S14 athletes. Hannah Russell goes for Great Britain in lane 7. She is the world record holder, and she's also fresh from posting a consideration time for the Tokyo Games last night in the 100 metres freestyle.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to poolside the athletes for Heat 2.
And here come the athletes for this second heat, being led on by Emmeline Pierre of France. She will be in lane 9. She has posted the fastest entry time, slightly quicker than that pink hat of Abby Kane, who swam very well yesterday in her 200 metres individual medley. And this is her main event, so she'll be looking forward to this one. Hannah Russell just checking the blocks there. You can see with the backstroke starters, you have to choose the number on the roll. So she was just trying to see that her backstroke start block was in place. Athletes away well there. You can see Emmeline Pierre going very, very deep under that water to try and maximise the 15 metres that is allowed to be travelled underwater on backstroke. And Abby Kane, Hannah Russell, neck and neck as they go down this first 25 metres. Hannah Russell had some time out after the Rio 2016 Paralympic Games. She's come back in recently, and she's just getting quicker and quicker and gaining more confidence with every swim that she does, which is really great to see. Abby Kane, silver medalist at the Paralympic Games in Rio in 2016 at the tender age of 13 years and 39 days. And so she's looking to chase her qualifying time of 107.68, sorry. It's a quick time, but it is within her grasp. And she'll be hoping that Hannah Russell can pull her along to those times either this morning or this afternoon. Emmeline Pierre sticking well with Abby Kane, and also going well in those middle lanes is Sacha Takaki and Hernandez Santos of Spain. The times are coming from everywhere, and Hannah Russell 111.42 for her. That is another consideration time for Tokyo. She's been 110 this season, competing in Manchester, but for a heat swim after the way she swam last night, that is a very good effort. She's relying on Stephanie Millward to try and help her see the board.
11:42. There are the official results coming through. 11:42 is inside the consideration time.
There we have the results from this morning. You can see the points. That will be deciding of who gets in, and that was the second heat. So Katie Crowhurst has got a chance of making in. So Susanna Cowell, everybody there, we will try and get you the results consolidated before we leave today, and there they are. So as you can see, that second heat was quicker on points, and Mai Deguchi making it in, rounding out that top 10 with 535 points. So Susanna Cowell will get to come back to Tanya for Lebrun from that first heat, making it back in. The only athlete from that first heat who will progress to tonight's final. That concludes the women's 100 metres backstroke this morning. Now we will welcome the men to poolside to compete in the same event, same stroke. There'll be a little delay. The schedule allows for time for each block, each chair behind the block, and each space that a swimmer might have touched to be disinfected and made COVID secure for the next set of athletes to enter poolside. Many of these athletes returning from their sessions yesterday, back for more, but this is our first glimpse at Great Britain's Oliver Hind, his first outing for this competition. He's the Paralympic Games silver medalist in this event in the S8 category. Now he's swimming in the S9 category, so we'll see what he can do this morning. Swimmer's just being asked to stand down for a second while everything gets checked. Looks like we are good to go. This time they're off. Mexico's Juan Ruiz Asensio is in lane 1. Ayat Chalabi of Israel is in 2. Romania's Arian Cristian Notretu is in 3. Mark Malia of Israel is in 4. Then Great Britain's Oliver Hind is in 5. Alex Rosser of Great Britain and Torvine in 6. And then Alejandro Alvarado of Mexico is in 7. And Jacob Leach in that yellow hat off to a very good start for Great Britain in lane 8 at the bottom of your screen, turning first in 33.05, closely followed by Ollie Hind in 33.98, and then the S14 athlete Alex Rosser 34.06 to get that third turn. Ollie Hind now starting to claw back at Jacob Leach, as is Alex Rosser. Alex Rosser, the S14 athlete, Ollie Hind and Jacob Leach in the S9 category. And they have in between them in the mix Alvarado, another S14 athlete from Mexico. But it will be Jacob Leach that takes this heat. 108.10, followed by Ollie Hind on a 108.99, and then Alex Rosser rounding out those top 3 times, 109.27. Now in this, again, it's multi-class, and as we finish in with the final S14 swimmer, we still have the S1 athlete, Ayad Shalabi of Israel, going strong in lane 1. He's got 40 meters left to go. You can see that double arm stroke. S1 is the most impaired category in the functional classification groups. And so often, Shalabi has to swim combined events, even at major championships. But the S1 100 meters backstroke is an event that Elad Shalabi will get the opportunity to swim in Tokyo within class. So with 25 meters to go here, we know he's in good form. He broke his world record in the 150 meter individual medley twice yesterday, as in he went under the time twice, but he went quicker in the morning, so it will be the morning time that stands. But to go under your time twice in one day by a significant margin is huge. He broke the 5-minute barrier there for the first time, and not only once, like I said, he did it twice. So we know he's in good form as he comes into this final 5 meters. We'll be watching the clock. 2:44.71. So an easy swim for him this morning. He'll be back in a bit for the 50 meters breaststroke. There is Jacob Leach. Just checking the scoreboard to get those confirmed results. See the points. There are 2 heats to this. So the 10 top point scoring athletes will progress to tonight's final, and it is S7 Israel's Mark Malia that takes the win on points, 732 from Jacob Leach on 726 and Oliver Hind on 698. This next heat is packed from lane 0 through to lane 9, so there are 10 swimmers in this event, and there are a number of S14 athletes. Alex Portal of France in lane 4 is the S13 athlete. Stephen Clegg in lane 6 for Great Britain is the S12 athlete, and everybody else is at S14. So it will be a straight shootout between them to see who can get their hand to the wall first and give themselves a chance to be back this evening. Those eagle-eyed people will be able to see the person behind the blocks just spraying to make sure that everything is good to go. And there we can get a glimpse into the 2021 call room, which is now on poolside. We're not used to being able to see those athletes, but the poolside has been moved so that it's out in the open, getting as much fresh air that's possible in a swimming pool, keeping the athletes distanced, and turning up to the call room race ready. So here come the athletes being led by Great Britain and Plymouth's Rhys Dunn. He'll be down in lane 9 as the fastest entry for this meet. Jordan Catchpole, silver medalist at the World Championships in this event. So already eligible for Tokyo on that basis, but he'll be looking to go the consideration time once again, as will Louis Lawler. This is a stacked event for the domestic Great Britain S14 athletes. Stephen Clegg, they're just removing his clothing, getting ready to get to the block. He's in good form. He broke the British record yesterday in the 100 meters freestyle and posted a consideration time for Tokyo. His best event still to come, 100 meters butterfly. That will be tomorrow. But for now, he'll be looking to put down a great time in this 100 meters backstroke. So the full complement of athletes are in attendance, and in lane 0 it's George Kelman-Johns of Great Britain and Gloucester City. Then lane 1's Belgium's Aymeric Parmentier. Lane 2, Dylan Broom of Great Britain and Torvine. Lane 3, Mazunori Miyoshi of Japan. Lane 4, the in-form Alex Portal for France. Lane 5, it's Rhys Davis of Great Britain. Lane 6, Stephen Clegg, Great Britain. Lane 7, Louis Lawler, Great Britain. Lane 8, Jordan Catchpole, Great Britain. And lane 9, Rhys Dunn, turning first for Great Britain. He's going well here. Louis Lawler is the in-form backstroker. Rhys Dunn had a very good underwater there. And we can see Jordan Catchpole, Stephen Clegg. The race is on at the bottom half of the screen, which would be expected. Rhys Dunn pulled out of the finals yesterday, but he was the fastest qualifier in the 100 freestyle. And here we can see again, he's going to put in a very impressive performance this morning with a time of 1 minute, 0.46. So the qualifying time for the S14 to be considered for Tokyo is a 101.67. So Rhys Dunn is inside of that. As I said, Jordan Catchpole already posted consideration criteria for Tokyo, and Louis Lawler will be looking to chase that time this evening, the bronze medalist from the World Championships. But there is the fastest of the S14s, Rhys Dunn. We're just waiting now for the confirmation of those results. As 8 of the 10 athletes were S14s, the times will represent the points in terms of order. You just have to see how Alex Portal's S13 time and Stephen Clegg's S12 time face with the points. Stephen Clegg, we said he was in form. He is the British record holder in that event, and if his time gets confirmed, then that will be another consideration time for him. And as I said at the beginning of the race, his best event is still to come. That will conclude our 100-meter backstroke heats for this morning. Next up, we'll be moving on to the 50-meter breaststroke multi-class events. But just to round out for everybody who will progress to those finals, there we can see it is Rhys Dunn with 941 points. Louis Lawler and Stephen Clegg, the two Scotsmen, matched on points, 876. And then Jordan Catchpole rounding out top 4 with 871 points. So it will be a great final tonight. Aymeric Parmentier of Belgium being the last S14 to make the cut. Jacob Leach makes the cut. Alex Portal makes the cut. So does Stephen Clegg. Mark Malia of Israel will continue his busy program here in Sheffield. We'll just be moving down now to the other end of the pool. I said it yesterday, I'll say it again today. I've been coming to this pool for 25 years, And the starts, the 100 metres have always been from scoreboard end, and the 50-metre starts have always been from diving pit end. But in order to control the flow of the traffic and the people around the venue, that has now changed. Taking some getting used to for a lot of people, I think, myself included. But now we are down to the scoreboard end for the start of the women's multi-class 50 metres breaststroke event, of which there will be one heat. All athletes in this event, despite it being a multi-class event, are SB3 athletes. So we can watch this race and look at the times, and we won't have to wait for the points because they will translate accordingly. Sigurdardóttir there of Iceland just being lowered into the water. We'll see a range of starting types. You can see Jona Moorman of Netherlands starting from her knees. Lane 5's Lauritzen of Denmark in the water. Everyone there now getting set. Assistants holding hands, making sure that people are in position and ready to go. So Moorman of the Netherlands in lane 4, the only athlete choosing to dive off the block, and she's up and into her stroke and taking that advantage. Sonja Sigurdardóttir of Iceland is in 3. Carina Lauritzen of Denmark is in 5. And then it is Marta Fernandez Infante of Spain in lane 6. And the in-form Jona Moorman broke the 150-metre individual medley world record yesterday. And again, she's off to a great start here this morning. In that blue suit, it's Carina Lauritzen of Denmark, who first swam in this event back in Durban in 2006 and took a silver medal. She was the world champion back in 2010, and now she's here making her comeback, attempting to make a qualifying time for Tokyo. But it will be Moorman who comes into the wall in first position, touching in a time of 52.55, and subject to ratification, that is another world record for Moorman, just inside the world record of Zhao Sheng, 52.65, which was set in the Mexico World Championships in 2017. Carina Lauritzen there coming in 108.34, and third in these heats it will be Fernandez Infante in a time of 122.81. Now Sonja Sigurdardóttir of Iceland is just at the 25-metre mark. She was also competing in 2006 in Durban when Lauritzen won that silver medal. So those World Championships, they were in December, but they will be 16 years ago this December. And that just shows the longevity of some of these athletes. Some stick around for the whole time. Often, as we see now, they take a break and come back. And I think that's one thing that we've learned through this pandemic is actually the physicality of the athletes, the capabilities of their physicality is right there, but it's been how people have been able to deal with the changing situations. And there's been a lot of ownership placed on athletes, even at this meet, because everything is different. What you're seeing in the visuals is competitors racing as fast as they can from one end of the pool to the other against their competitors. But actually the way in which they move around the venue, the way in which they report for a race, the way in which they're allowed to interact with their coaches and the officials has all changed. And they're having to take that in their stride. So go to here now, just approaching that final 5 metres. The flags and the red marker lane lines signify 5 metres to go to the wall. And all eyes on her. Like I said, there's not usually now there'd be a big crowd cheering, but there is no crowd at this pool this weekend, or this week, sorry, as Sigurdardóttir comes on in, the experienced athlete from Iceland. She'll be touching the wall in a time of 3:13.79. As I said, we don't really need to wait for the points to know the positions of these athletes, as they were all competing against each other in the SB3 classification. Fiona, though, in very good form. Only recently got an international classification. She's been swimming for a number of years nationally, but finally getting that international classification, and like I said, assuming it's ratified, that will be her second world record of the competition. A mark over 1,000 points signifies a world record. So congratulations to her. So sticking with the 50 metres breaststroke now, it's the turn of the men in this multi-class event. And we do have 3 SB3s and Ia Chalabi fresh out of the 100 metres backstroke we just saw moments ago. He's back in lane 4 for Israel in the SB1 category.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the athletes for the men's 50 metres breaststroke heats. This is heat 1.
There we see again a variety of starts in this race. Lane 3, Arta Apostolaki of Russia. Iyad Chalabi of Israel goes in lane 4, the only SB1 athlete in this race. Then Lyndon Longhen, that black cap in Great Britain, is in lane 5. And then Ami Omer Dadon of Israel goes in lane 6. A close race here going on at the front of the field. Dadon is a major championship medalist in this event. Lyndon Longhorn, British record breaking form yesterday in the 100 metres freestyle. Going very well. As is Arta Apostolaki at the top of your screen. Going well here. Everybody neck and neck, and it will be a great final stroke from Ami Omer Dadon to take victory here in this morning's heats. He got to swim right into the wall, and he just timed that to perfection. 58.08 for him. Arta Apostolaki, 58.31. Another solid swim for him, for Russia. And there we can see in your shot now, Iyad Chalabi, a busy morning for him. his 100 meters backstroke and his 50 meters breaststroke falling in the same session. You can see he only has use of those arms. You can see that double stroke that he does and that side breath to keep as flat to the water as possible, minimizing the resistance that he's creating for himself. We should now see in shot those red markers appear as he comes into the final 5 meters. Shalabi, part of this strong Israeli contingent here this week. 2:02.43 for him. Some close racing this morning. That will set themselves up for a final this evening. So there will be one final. Assuming those results are confirmed, all 4 athletes will progress to get another opportunity to race. As you can see, it is the 3 SB3 athletes with the higher point scores there, all over 500 points. So they'll have a good race ahead of them this evening. So that's it for the first half of the session this morning. We will wrap up there and we will be back for the 100 meters breaststroke, the women and the men. So there'll be 2 heats for the women's event. There'll be 3 heats for the men's events. And then we'll move on to the multi-class 50 meters backstroke for women and men. There'll be a number of athletes that we've seen already competing this morning back in that session just after the break. So if you come back for the first event will be at 11:20. So whatever you're going to do in this break, make sure you set your alarm and you're back at this live feed for that first heat of the women's 100 meters breaststroke at 11:20. We've seen some good swimming this morning. As ever, all results and records are subject to ratification, but it's always good to see athletes getting in and bettering their personal best times. We'll see you at 11:20.
Attention, please. Here's something I bet you didn't know. Not all supplements are created equal. At HealthSpan, our omega-3 oil is sustainably sourced from the South Pacific Ocean. We find our turmeric in the southern slopes of India. And our cod liver oil comes from the cold, crisp seas off Greenland. We work hard to seek out the best ingredients for our supplements, because that's the HealthSpan way. We're healthspan.co.uk. Vitamins and supplements in-store or direct to your door.
Right now, it's more vital than ever that we keep in touch. So at Labara, we're offering a great value SIM-only deal. 1,000 texts and 1,000 minutes to the UK. 100 extra minutes to 40 other countries, plus 2 gigs of data. All for just £5. No contract. You can change at any time. Not that you'd want to. Labara. Stay connected.
Tier Vinzo. Battleborn.
Attention please. Here's something I bet you didn't know. Not all supplements are created equal. At HealthSpan, our omega-3 oil is sustainably sourced from the South Pacific Ocean. We find our turmeric in the southern slopes of India. And our cod liver oil comes from the cold, crisp seas off Greenland. We work hard to seek out the best ingredients for our supplements, because that's the HealthSpan way. We're healthspan.co.uk. Vitamins and supplements in-store or direct to your door.
Right now, it's more vital than ever that we keep in touch. So at Labara, we're offering a great value SIM-only deal. 1,000 texts and 1,000 minutes to the UK. 100 extra minutes to 40 other countries, plus 2 gigs of data. All for just £5. No contract. You can change at any time. Not that you'd want to. Labara. Stay connected.
Tier Vinzo. Battleborn.
Hello and welcome back to this second part of the morning's heat session. We're still in Sheffield, Ponds Forge, such an iconic pool in this country. All the athletes are loving being back here, getting the opportunity to race. We will have the flip of what we had earlier today, so we will now have the multi-class 100-meter breaststrokes for women and men, and then we will have the 50-meter backstroke multi-class for women and men. There are 2 heats of the women's 100 meters breaststroke. We'll get to see world champion Rebecca Redfern making her comeback, having taken a break, had a baby. She'll go in the second heat. Here we can see the start of the first heat. 2 SB14s in the outside lanes, and then Tully Kearney, who posted a consideration time for Tokyo yesterday in a 100 freestyle heat. She'll be with Susanna Hext in the SB4 category. Grace Harvey also posted a consideration time yesterday. She'll go in the SB5 category. Then Huzana Kundaki of Uganda, she'll be in the SB8 category, along with Great Britain and Ealing's Alice Tai. There are a lot of people swimming the breaststroke this morning. A lot of people have undergone classification here ahead of Tokyo, and one of the stipulations to complete that classification is that people need to be observed on all strokes they might swim. So if they are likely to swim an individual medley at any point, then their breaststroke event needs to be observed, and we'll see that more in the men's heat. First heat, no entry times for any of the men in the first heat. Looking for their classification confirmations. But that's why we might see some names in these next few heats who don't normally engage in the breaststroke races. The athletes being led out there by Sachi Takagi, the SB14 athlete from Japan. She'll occupy lane 8. Preparation very different for these athletes at competition at the moment, in order for this to go ahead, you can see there, you have to put everything that you bring onto poolside with you that you won't be using in the pool, so your hat, your goggles, and your costume, into the plastic bags, and then that is your responsibility as a swimmer to come back and retrieve those before heading to the swim down pool. Pre-pandemic, pre-COVID, what would have happened was all of that equipment would have been placed in a box, and then there would have been a group of people responsible for taking the box to an area away from the pool where then you would retrieve your stuff. So whilst you're getting to see this competition, pretty much how you would always see it, other than you're not here, in terms of looking at the pool and the athletes racing, pretty much every other detail involved in these athletes being able to race has changed. Everybody's shifting down a lane there. That sometimes happens when we don't have a full heat. You can end up landing on the wrong lane and you just follow the person in front of you. So lanes 1 to 7 will be occupied. Grace Harvey going in lane 4. As I said, she swam amazingly well last night to top the SM6 200 meter individual medley and post a consideration time for the Paralympics this summer. There just seems to be a bit of confusion in venue. The start lists are not matching up with the lanes that people are in, so we're just having that check you can see there. According to the start list we saw on the screen, on your screen, and actually the one that we're seeing in venue, it might be that Tully Kearney and Makita Andrade of Mexico switch lanes. So they're just switching there, you can see. So Tully moving over. She'll be very relieved to have gotten that time yesterday to give her a chance of being on that Tokyo team. She did qualify for the Rio 2016 Paralympic team, but had to withdraw through injury, which is obviously a distressing time for any athlete. So she'll be looking to get her opportunity to become a Paralympian and add to some of those World Championship titles and major championship medals this summer in Japan. Got there in the end. That's the starter's whistle, signifying that people can take up their positions, whether that be in the water or on the block. And the athletes are ready to go. So, as we said, just to confirm, it is American Makeda Andrade of Mexico in 1. Great Britain's Tully Kearney in lane 2, with her compatriot Susanna Hext in lane 3. Then Grace Harvey of Great Britain in lane 4. Husna Kakondwaki of Uganda in 5. Alice Tai in that pink suit, that black hat for Great Britain and Ealing in lane 6. And then Sachi Takagi for Japan in lane 7. And you can see a variety of different strokes here. We have SB4 athletes in lanes 2 and 3, SB5 athlete in lane 4, 2 SB8 athletes next to each other in 5 and 6, and then 2 SB14 athletes on the outside lanes. And it is Makeda Andrade just getting the touch over Alice Tai at the halfway point. Husna Kakondwaki trying to stick with Alice Tai down this second 50. You can see very different strokes there. Tai, the SB8 swimmer, not using her legs, propelling herself totally with her arms. Kakondwaki, the athlete with limb difference, swimming in the same classification but a very different stroke. She's powered through the legs. And there you can see they are pretty much neck and neck the whole way. Grace Harvey going very well. She's definitely an athlete who's benefited from this extra year to get ready for Tokyo. Lots of training in her garden. All these times are for her dad, who was holding that elastic bungee that she was using to swim in her paddling pool in her back garden. And she's getting the rewards here. But it is Makeda Andrade that touches first in a time of 1:32.79. Followed home by Kukanduaki, just getting the touch in the end in the SB8 category. 1:36.31 for her. Takagi, 1:37.58. Alice Tai, 1:38.73. 6 seconds quicker than her entry time, so she'll be happy with that. And Grace Harvey, a 1:44.2, and that's another qualifying time or consideration time for her for Tokyo. The consideration time was 1:45.04. It's also, if confirmed and ratified, a British record. The old British record stood to Nairi Lewis, now Nairi Kindred, 1:50.06 from back in Manchester in 2004. And there we see Tully Kearney, the freestyle specialist. But again, like I said, having a breaststroke observed here. She comes down into the final. She approaches the final 25 meters there, signified by that red marker. But Susanna Hex, the other SB4 athlete in this category, swimming very well there. She had a British record that she was chasing, same as Tully, but obviously Susanna Hex, the athlete to touch the wall first, she was chasing a British record that has stood since the World Championships in Malta in 1994. And to put you out of your suspense, that record was 2:30.65 to Jane Stidova. And again, if ratified, Susanna Hex has comfortably swum inside that 2:09.87. One of the oldest British records still in the books there. Now Tully Kearney approaching the final 10 meters here. You see there she's pulling some short strokes, not breathing every stroke. As long as your head breaks the surface every stroke, that's allowed on breaststroke. And a lot of the athletes who don't have function of their legs find that it helps them maintain their power, their direction forward, and reduce resistance. And here comes Tully Kearney into the wall to touch in a 3:53.02. There are 2 heats, so we will need to see the points for everybody to see who progresses. But there we have it, the very much in-form swimmer, Grace Harvey. New British record, another consideration time for Tokyo. She couldn't have planned a better meet. And there we see it is Grace Harvey confirmed as the top point scorer there, 730 to go with that British record. And then the next British record also coming in second for Susanna Hex, 511 points for her. And then Makeda Andrade getting the third position, 479 points. Now here's the start list for the second of these 2 heats. Lots of powerful breaststrokers in here. In lanes 7, 8, and 9, we have the reigning world champions in their respective categories. All looking to post consideration times for Tokyo this summer. The athletes clear the pool. Their items will be collected. The blocks, the seats, anywhere that they might have touched will be disinfected before the pool deck is deemed COVID secure for the next heat to enter. You can see on the left-hand side of your screen, that is now the call room. Normally, that would be quite a packed situation because you normally have to report for a race at least 15 minutes before the published start time. So you'd have a couple of races, maybe 3 or 4 races in an area that are due to race that session. But in order to keep socially distanced, we've moved the call room out onto the pool side, spaced out the chairs, as you can see, and asked all athletes to just make sure that they come to the pool deck race ready and they're not hanging around on poolside. So there's been a number of changes. The coaches, they are not allowed down onto poolside anymore, so it'll only ever be the officials, the athletes themselves, and any designated assistant, as you can see, walking out here, beautifully timed, but they'll always be wearing full PPE, so their aprons, their masks, and their gloves, in order to help any athlete that has that exemption and has that assistance notified on their classification forms. European record holder Maisie Summers-Newton will be going in lane 2 for Great Britain and Northampton. It's a range of categories in this. Our lowest classification swimmers in this event are in fact the two SB6 athletes, Eleanor Simmons and Maisie Summers-Newton. Then we have SB8s, SB9s, one SB13 and 3 SB14 athletes. So everybody clearly away there. Brooke Whiston getting away safely in the end. She is the world record holder, world champion in the SB8 category presently. And in lane 1 we have Superior of France, in lane 0. In lane 1 we have Simmons of Great Britain. Summers-Newton of Great Britain goes in 2. Klyachkina of Russia goes in 3. Dekuchi of Japan in 4. Lebrun, the young Belgian, swimming well in lane 5. Danielle Harton of Great Britain is in lane 6. Rebecca Redfern chasing that consideration time in lane 7. Brooke Whiston of Great Britain in 8. And then Louise Vitters turning first, the SB14 athlete at the bottom of your screen, in lane 9. And here we can see Louise Vitters and Rebecca Redfern neck and neck here. They do have very, very similar times. Rebecca Redfern, as I said, has been out of the water. She gave birth in July last year, so it's great to see her back. The Paralympic Games couldn't have been timed any better for her, and she is chasing a qualification time of 1:21.13. Her European record stands at 1:13.81. And Louise Vitters here leading the way into the wall, getting that touch in 1:19.43 for her. And Rebecca Redfern does indeed swim under that consideration time. 1:20.15 for her. Great swim. Maisie Summers-Newton winning the battle of the SB6 athletes. 1:35.63 for her, as Eleanor Simmons touches just ahead of Brooke Whiston. 1:41.2, ahead of 1:43.39. And then bringing them home, it is Claire Superior of France in 1:48.87. Now, we will have to wait for the points to be converted and the results to be confirmed so that we can see who progresses to tonight's final and has the opportunity to better their time. But job done there for Rebecca Redfern. You've got to be in it to win it, and she's given herself a great chance by swimming under that consideration time. The athletes leave the pool and collect their stuff. We'll be waiting to welcome on the men's event next. As I said, the whole first heat, no one has an entry time. Most of these athletes swimming breaststroke just to get their classification confirmed. And I would put money on us not seeing some of these athletes swim an individual breaststroke event again for a very long time. If you look to the right of your screen where you can see the lifeguard sat, you'll see some tape along the bottom, along the pool side. Normally that's how the athletes walk out to their races, but now that tape signifies the segregation and the separation of the system around the pool. So for those athletes that need to head back to the elevator and the lift to use to get up to the top level to leave the building, they go down the one side and then everyone else walks the other way around. There's a one-way system operating within the venue at present. Very different environment for these athletes to get used to, and often, like the swimming is the easier part of it all because that's what they train to do. But a lot of them have had to really adopt a different mindset in order to deal with all of the changes and all of the expectations that are upon them and everybody else in order to compete at these championships. We're definitely noticing, and we're all missing the national swimmers that would normally be at this meet. But obviously they haven't had the opportunity to train, so it wouldn't be fair to have them here racing. It wouldn't be fair on them, but also in order to control the numbers and everything, it meant that that wasn't possible at this time. But everybody here is excited for a time when we can welcome everybody back and have a lot more numbers and come back to the competition that we know and love. Well, after that long wait, we do now have the athletes coming out for the men's first heat of this multi-class 100 meters breaststroke. As I said, a number of athletes here, some breaststrokers, but also some athletes who are getting their classification. One of those would be Mikey Jones of Great Britain in lane 7. He's a freestyle specialist. So like he'll be one of the athletes that we probably won't see swim too many breaststroke events in his career.
This is heat 1.
There he is in those bright shorts, just putting all his stuff in the bag, getting ready to take to the block. And you can see his assistant there, the apron, the gloves, and the mask, and the visor. So just to confirm, we have in lane 1, Alejandro Alvarado of Mexico, the SB14 swimmer. Then in lane 2, it's Yaho Shalkanu, the SB9 athlete from Belarus. Then in lane 3, we have Zayed Kahil, SB4 athlete from Egypt. And then lane 4, it's William Perry, the SB6 athlete from Great Britain and Northampton. And then in lane 5, it's Sergey Kanak, the SB9 athlete from Kazakhstan. In lane 6 is Juan Ruiz Asensio, the SB14 athlete, currently in that red cap going well for Mexico. And then lane 7, it is Great Britain's Mikey Jones in the SB6 category. And it is the 9 athletes who are going well at this point. Kinak getting the touch at the halfway point, just ahead of Shalakanu of Belarus. In the middle lane there, that white cap of Kazakhstan, looking strong, looking smooth. Then followed by his athlete in the same class, so they are racing like for like. It is Shalkanu from Belarus as we come into the final 5 meters for the leader of this first heat of the 100 meters breaststroke for men, and it is Kenak that takes the victory in terms of time, 1:24.34. Will Perry going well there, 1:32.66 in the SB6 category, and Juan Ruiz Asensio, the second of the SB14 athletes to touch the wall in 1:38.01. And here we can see Mikey Jones in lane 7, battling it out with Zehad Kahil. Into the wall, it looks like Mikey Jones might just get the touch here. And he does in a time of 2:01.09 to Kahil's 2:02.37. Now they're not in the same category, so we will wait for confirmation of the point scores before we will see who progresses to the finals this evening. As we see so often, there's a lot of technicalities in the strokes, in breaststroke specifically, and a lot of different classification groups have a lot of different exemptions available, so they'll all now be being checked by the race referees, and then we will hopefully get some confirmed results for you. So here are the official results for you. William Perry taking the victory on points with 612 there. A disqualification for the SB14 athlete from Mexico, Juan Ruiz Asensio. And now here come the athletes for Heat 2 of this men's multi-class 100 meters breaststroke. Every lane will be occupied there, right through from 0 to 9. We have athletes ranging from the SB4 classification all the way up to the SB14 category. These athletes do have entry times, so we might see the more traditional spread across the pool that we have come to expect. So the bottom half of your screen will have the faster athletes' entry times in, and then the SB4s, SB5s are towards the top of your screen. Got a glimpse there of the busy Mark Malia from Israel. He's got a busy program here. So in lane 0, we have African record holder Muhammad Ali of Egypt. In lane 1, it's Halabi from Israel. In lane 2, it's Hashad of Egypt. Lane 3, McRae of Switzerland. Lane 4, Walpert of Israel. Lane 5, Kelman Johns of Great Britain. Lane 6, Malia for Israel. Lane 7, Miyoshi of Japan. Lane 8, also from Japan, it's Kamo. And then in lane 9, it's Michilzakis of Greece, the freestyle world champion. Here we can see it's pretty tight at the front of the field at the moment. Lane 5, George Kelman Johns, the S-Boy 14 athlete. There's a lot of depth in this category, in this country, and he's currently leading that way as we go down the second 50 now. Kamo, the other SB14 athlete from Japan in that white cap, 1 lane up from the bottom, going well. And here we can see the tussle in the middle lanes. The angle makes it look a little bit closer than it is. Kelman Johns with a comfortable lead over Ron Walpert, the SB8 athlete. And as we come into the final 5 meters before we turn our attention to the top half of the pool, we can see it's neck and neck, and who's going to get the touch? It is Camo, 121.92. And there we can see now entering the last 10 meters, it is Leo McRae, the World Championship finalist in the 400 meters freestyle, swimming for Switzerland. Training at Kelly College. Good time for him there, 136.11. Good heat swim for him. And here we see now the athletes in the SB4, SB5 classifications coming in to the wall. Final 5 meters. It is Halabi who's leading the way. He touches in a 2:71. The SB4 athlete, Hashad then 2:01.23 in the SB5 and 2:06.41 for Muhammad Ali, also an SB4 athlete. So the SB5 tussle went to McRae, the SB4 tussle went to Halabi, and now again we await the confirmation of those results. Normally, during the heat sessions, you would see that just when one race finishes, the next race is ready to start. But again, in order to comply with social distance regulations, there has been buffer time scheduled in between each event, even each race within each event. And so that's where the delay, this feels like a delay, but actually more often than not, it's just us sticking to the scheduled time that's been published, because it's not fair on the athletes to start ahead of that published time, because they will have geared all of their preparations, what time they got up, what time they had breakfast, what time they arrived at the pool, when they warmed up, when they put their suits on, and when they came down to this call room area. All of that will have been geared around the published start time that they will have received ahead of this morning. So here are the official results, and it is the SB6 athlete, Malia, who takes the points victory, just 2 points ahead of Leo McRae of Switzerland. There, 7:07 for him. Michilzakis rounding out the top 3, but there is unfortunately another disqualification. This time it's for Mazanori Miyoshi, the SB14 athlete from Japan. One more heat to go now in this men's event, and because we've had 3 heats this morning, we will have the possibility of 2 finals in the World Para Series competition in this evening's session. So everybody will be vying for one of those spots in the 20 lanes that are available. Here come the athletes for this final heat. Being led out there. As we said, it goes from slowest on the left-hand side of the pool as you're looking at the screen right now in lane 0, slowest entry time, all the way through to the fastest entry time in lane 9. And we can see everybody in this event, in this heat, is an SB14 except for Carlos Martinez Fernandez of Spain, who's the SB8 athlete in lane 1. So for everybody else, it will be a straight shootout. Who can get their hand on the wall first? And then you can see in lane 9, it is Paralympic silver medalist, World Championship silver medalist, Scott Quinn, in his lucky boxer shorts. He's pulled them out for the heat this morning. He has already made himself in position to be eligible for consideration for Tokyo, but he will be looking to go inside that time again today, I am sure. Going through his pre-race ritual there. I can assure you, I've asked him, I've checked, those boxer shorts are clean. So when he puts them to his face like that, we've got nothing to worry about. Also looking to chase that time down today is Connor Morrison. He'll be in lane 7. So in lane 1, it's Dylan Broom of Great Britain. In lane 2 is Martinez Fernandez of Spain. Lane 2 is Rhys Davis, SB14, Great Britain. Lane 3, Louis Lawler, Great Britain and Glasgow. Lane 4, Jack Mill, Great Britain. Lane 5, Gavin Roberts, Great Britain. Lane 6, Rhys Dunn, Great Britain. Lane 7, Conor Morrison, Great Britain. Lane 8, the bronze medalist from the World Championships in 2017. It's Belgium's Aymeric Parmentier. And then lane 9 is Scott Quinn of Great Britain. And touching first, it is Great Britain. Scott Quinn, 31.55 for him. Conor Morrison second in 31.82. And then Parmentier again, 32.2. And it is those 3 athletes at the bottom of your screen now who are going away. And Conor Morrison has swum very well in the pre-race meets at Manchester here. He's going to do everything he can to hold on to Scott Quinn here. And the time that they are aiming for is 1:07.75. So watch that clock. Scott Quinn, 1:05.96 for him. 1:07.94 for Conor Morrison. A great heat swim just outside the qualifying time, but a perfect effort, and he will look to go quicker this evening. There we see then the rest of the athletes coming in. It is Martinez Fernandez in 1:20.8 in that SB8 category. We'll have to wait on his points to see if he can split up any of these SB14 athletes. Martinez Fernandez, World Championship swimmer, missed London due to illness. It's great to see him back in the water. Scott Quinn there looking happy with that time. Less than a second off his European record. Scott Quinn's a very consistent athlete. Just got to make sure that those results, we've seen a few disqualifications, so just make sure that these results get confirmed before we get too excited or people start already counting their place in the final. But there are, as I said, 2 finals this evening. So there are 20 lanes possible for people to occupy and get another go at bettering their times. And there we do have the results, a 919-point swim from Scott Quinn, reflecting that impressive heat swim for him this morning. Conor Morrison in second, and then Aymeric Parmentier in third position, with Martinez Fernandez splitting the SB14 athletes up, coming in 8th position in that heat on points. We will now return to the opposite end of the pool for the 50 meters backstroke women's event. This is heat 1 of 1. If you can hear that buzzer, it's just the starting signals and lights being checked because we have moved to the other end of the pool. That does mean that different equipment is getting used and the officials don't want to take anything for granted. So here we go. Here is your start list. There are 5 athletes, S4 and S5 swimmers. So again, it's a multi-class race, so it won't necessarily be the person who touches the wall first that gets the highest position, but as there are 5 athletes, all would look to progress, barring any disqualifications, to that second swim in tonight's final session. Number of these athletes already swum this morning, had that break, had to swim down, re-warmed up, changed costumes, and they are back for this 50 meters backstroke. So away they go. It's Kravchenko of Malta in 2. It's Lauritsen of Denmark in 3. Mollman of Netherlands in 4. Fernandez Infante of Spain in 5. And Sigurdardottir of Iceland in 6. And it is in that centre lane, Mollman, who's been in very good form here, swimming under 2 world records already this week, going well and leading at that 25-metre point for the Netherlands in the S4 category. Lauritsen back in the water for Denmark, the S5 athlete. Bronze in this event in Eindhoven in 2010 at the World Championships, and a silver way back in Durban in 2006. But there's no question here about who's going to get their hand on the wall first. It is Jona Mollman of the Netherlands, stopping the clock at 48.22. So it is under the European record in the S4 category, currently held by Monica Boggioni. So another potentially record-breaking swim for Jona Mollman, but as ever, all records are subject to ratification. Lauritsen there coming in 56.5 to get the touch for second. Sigurdardottir touching in 106.96. Kravchenko's from Malta 105.07. And then bringing in this race to a close, it is Spain's Fernandez Infante in a time of 134.56. There we see Jona having a very good meet here, swimming some great times. And there are the confirmed results and confirmed positions. It is the 2 S4 athletes who top the point score. And then Karina Lauritsen of Denmark, the best of the S5 swimmers this morning in that heat with 320 points. So now we are set for the final race, final event of this morning's heat session. It's the men's 50-meter backstroke multi-class event. One athlete in the S5 category, Siazbek Daliev of Kazakhstan in lane 7. All other athletes will be racing head-to-head in the S4 category. 21 nations entered this competition here this week, which again is great to see, especially when international competition has been off the cards for such a long time. Great Britain's Lyndon Longhorn. He broke the British record yesterday morning in the 100 metres freestyle. And he will be having British record setting his sights again today in this event. The British record has stood since Atlanta in 1996. So just the year after Lyndon was born. One of the older records still in the books. We saw a Malta 94 record get broken this morning. So will Lyndon Longhorn be able to continue his fine British record breaking form and set a new mark here in this race?
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the athletes for our final event. This is the men's 50 metres backstroke.
So here come our final athletes to race this morning as they make their way onto poolside. As we can see, as we so often have become to recognise, Amim Omer Dabadon of Israel getting in from the side of the pool. He'll be occupying lane 5. When you're getting in from the side of the pool, you want to wait as long as you can because you're going to be in that water before everybody else. And the water in competition venues can be quite chilly. So you can see there he's just making sure that everybody else is in position before he starts to make his way to occupy his starting position. And away they go, and it's Longhorn of Great Britain in lane 2, Apostolaki of Russia in 3, Ariel Malia of Israel in 4, Dodon of Israel in 5, Mats Topkin of Estonia in 6, and Daliev of Kazakhstan in lane 7. Going well there is Daliev of Kazakhstan. He is the S5 athlete in this competition, and he is next to European champion silver medalist Mats Topkin, also going very well here. The race is on in the middle of the pool between the two Israeli athletes, but it is that butterfly leg kick of Daliev that's going to take him into the wall. He'll touch that touchpad with his head. There we go, and he stops the clock at 44.48. Mats Topkin doing well there in the S4 race. He's touching first ahead of Dadoin and Lyndon Longhorn in a 53.31. I said that Lyndon Longhorn had his sights on a British record that has stood since the Atlanta Paralympic Games to Paul Johnston, and it was 54.03. So, again, subject to ratification, Lyndon Longhorn will have broken another British record. And there you can see Ariel Malia, twin brother of Mark, who we've seen already race a couple of times this morning, getting his race, last event of the morning session. Is the Israelis have a good sized team here at this championships. And we will just wait on the confirmation of those results to see the point scores. And it is Mats Topkin of Estonia that tops the tree of the S4 athletes. And then Daliev, the S5 athlete, just slipping in ahead of Aposlaki of Russia. But 743 wind takes the top position in this heat this morning.
Thank you very much to everybody for taking part and sticking to the regulations. To all of our volunteers and officials, a huge thank you to you as well. And you may now leave.
So that concludes the session for the heats. This is what we've got to look forward to tonight. Day 2 finals, it'll be the women's and men's 100 metres backstroke, then the women's and men's 50 metres breaststroke, then we'll have the women's and men's 100 metres breaststroke, concluding with the women's and men's 50 metres backstroke. There'll be no break in the final session. We have some athletes trying to better records, we have some athletes trying to get those Tokyo consideration times, and we have some athletes just trying to win those head-to-heads. So we've lined up some exciting racing for this evening's session. Starts here at 5 p.m. So we hope you've enjoyed the morning as much as we have. The officials are now leaving the poolside, and we will see you back here at 1700 hours, 5 p.m. local time for the final session. Thank you.